Welcome to the Lightworker podcast. I am your host, Natalie Ubl Grant. I am a lightworker, a meditation facilitator, Reiki master, and a health and wellness enthusiast who thrives on helping people. Connection is my superpower, and I just love bringing people to a space where transformation can occur. Are you looking for information on being a lightworker? Are you a lightworker and just love collecting knowledge from other lightworkers? Then this space is made especially for you. I hope you enjoy today's episode.
I just recently learned that if you have a corner in a shop, like so see in the Zoom, you can see the corner of your room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That psychologically people are interested in the stream because they're like, oh, like our eyes naturally draw to the corner and it makes us focus. I've been learning so much interesting stuff actually about social media and like attention, how to get attention and keep it interesting for people, and like corners.
Yeah. Really?
Corners are really interesting.
Because the only reason that I do this is because the couch is normally just right here and it's looking at the plain white wall, and this is far more interesting behind.
Well, it is, like, for lots of reasons. And the plants and
my picture of the old cottage, that for some reason I have a fascination with this painting, and I still am not really sure why, but it feels like I lived there once.
It was funny because, like, even because you've had that since forever, hey? Like, every time.
No, I've had that. It's only been up. So it was my grandmother's,
Yeah.
And probably at the end of last year I bought it in here. Yeah, so
it feels like it's been in here forever. Like, I guess last year I met you at the start of the year, but
yeah, no, it hasn't. Not even at the start of the year. Yeah, it's just the end.
It's your painting.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. So thank you for coming and being on my couch.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm like, this is a comfortable, familiar couch for me, and many interesting things has happened in this room. So it feels like anytime I'm coming back into the space, it feels really, really like home, even though it's your home. But
yeah, well, that brings me joy knowing that it feels like home for you when you come.
Yeah, it does. Even like how we come into the space, it's like I just let myself into your house. Right?
Apologize,
but I was like, yeah, this feels like a welcoming place. Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is what I felt when we bought this place. It welcomed us, and then I knew that it would be a place where it would welcome a lot of people, because the energy here is quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is it's elevated, you're connected to the elements, you're not down. It's like you're seen. It's like, for me, it's that, whereas in the old place we were unseen.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah, it worked.
But this has been interesting because it's been important to be able to be visible energetically to the people that needed to find Reiki.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at the end we moved here when the world went mad, and everyone needed that comfortable feeling. They needed to be able to know they could be somewhere where they weren't treated like some weirdo,
what they're receiving. And then even, it's funny, like the location that you're in, the specific suburb that we're in right now, it's all very accessible.
Yeah.
So I think as well, people, I don't know, for me, it's like, oh yeah, I know where that is. That's easy. Not frightening. You're not like in the hills in a little tiny, dwelling where you've got to trek through the bush to get to you. Like, it's very, oh yeah, I can literally drive there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, user-friendly.
It's user-friendly. User-friendly house. Yeah.
And it's interesting because that's part of my journey with learning the energetics of the reality we're in, is to understand that if everything is energy, then we do need to look at all of those factors that you just spoke about if we're wanting to create that magnetic flow when it comes to our businesses and the work that we're sharing. And yeah, we're very lucky to be alive at this time.
Yeah. I know. I just had that conversation the other day. Like right now, even though it feels like there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually in a time where we are extremely lucky, depending on where you live, like, and where you are in the world, but it's a pretty good time to be alive, really.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, for women.
For women to be alive
Yeah.
at this time, living in Australia, because that's
Yeah.
where we are,
Yeah.
we are very lucky. And I feel like because of that, it's important for us to not take that for granted.
Yeah.
Because that energetic flow that we can create by living from that perspective then becomes a frequency that's offered to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And if we're still hiding and we're not voicing what we know our truths are, then in a way we're doing a disservice, I believe, to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Because we can voice our opinions now without having our heads lopped off.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can voice our opinions now most of the time in most situations, and we've learned how to do that in a more tactful way where our neighbours are not going to want to shoot us or dob us into someone or
persecution. I was just talking about this week. Funny how this always works out.
It works out,
doesn't it? We're talking about the witch wound, like what that means in today's society, and we talked about how the persecution from all different types, like even the witch trials, the 14th to 18th century, and that persecution of what you're doing is wrong, weird, evil, strange,
exactly,
demonic, and needs to be captured.
Yep.
And
bring us in a bit.
Come closer.
Come closer.
And then we were talking about not only that, but then there was the betrayal that happened within the community of, like, because you didn't want to be persecuted, you would give your neighbour in or dob your neighbour in, or
because when you were persecuted, it meant the end of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And that stuff still happens in different parts of the world.
Yeah,
particularly for women. And it is important for us at the moment who are living in places where we are not in persecution, where we are able to speak from a different perspective and have our voices heard. There's been a lot of women that have gone first that have stood for something, have stood up and done what they believed was right and paying the consequences. But these days, for those that are still experiencing a body response to these traumas that you've inherited through your ancestral line, I believe that is what I'm seeing a lot of people work on now and have been probably for the last 5 years. It sort of triggered in that when the world went mad in 2020, that we were realizing that what we're experiencing in our reality versus what our body's response is a bit of a mismatch. And so then we've had to go out on a bit of a journey to figure out, well, why are we responding this way? What do I need to do differently that's going to bring comfort and peace to myself? What do I have to voice that is honoring what's alive inside of me instead of continuing to do things that I'm told by other people or doing it because the crowd does it and ignoring this burning that's inside of ourselves that's saying, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah. Or what I'm meant to be
what
doing.
I'm meant to be doing, and when we ignore that, eventually that causes problems in our own physiology. We become depressed, sad, sick.
Yeah.
And to me, the antidote is to learn to really listen to what's going on in your own internal world and honor yourself. It's taken me years to do that, to actually sit in that space of, there's an ick here. There's something that isn't right. And it's okay if it's right for you, but I have to follow my own path.
Yeah.
And I don't want to influence you to do something different that you've got an ick about either.
Yeah, we're not here to judge each other and put each other's opinions on each other around, oh, well, your path doesn't look like mine, so yours is wrong. Like,
Yeah.
It's very individual.
It's so individual, and I keep having that reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. Is that, and that's, I mean, you know, you've been in my classes, that's what I've spent years trying to help people to understand, is that the path forward is a bit of a selfish path, but it's not a selfish path in the way we were taught about what selfishness is. You know, it's a self-love, it's a self-honoring, it's a listening to actually, if I keep doing shoulds, if I keep doing things that are going to prevent someone else from getting upset, if I keep doing things that are going to try and keep the peace, or if I keep doing things where I'm trying to make sure that you don't suffer in some way because I can't handle watching you suffer, I'm actually preventing your growth.
Yeah. And who are you to do that, right?
Like, that is very, to me, that's where with Reiki, the teachings as are that we've got to learn our own energy. And we have to learn if our energy is leaking into someone else's energy, or if their energy is coming into ours and we haven't decided whether that's what we're wanting. Because we don't even know what our energy feels like.
Yeah.
You know? So it's interesting. It's a really interesting time to be alive.
Yeah. And if you don't know any of that, then it's like you start at base one of, is this even mine? Like, and who am I? What do I like? Like, I'll see clients, and that's usually the first thing that they'll say. I'm coming to you, and I don't even know why I'm coming to you. Why you'd get the exact same thing, actually. And then I don't know why I'm seeing you, and I also don't know who I am. I don't know who I am anymore. And at all ages, like all stages of life, men and women, like just not knowing who they are, but having that awareness still where they go, something's not quite right. Because a lot of people don't even have that awareness, where they just keep going, and then they get to the end of their life, they cross over and they go, can I swear?
Yeah, of course you can.
Shit. Like, yeah. So like I've totally I bunged it, you know, like I didn't live in an authentic way that was for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, even that awareness piece is kind of the first step.
It is. And to me, that is the only path that is going to get us further than we've been able to get as a collective. We've kind of done what we can from a separateness perspective, and now we're on the journey back to actually working and co-creating and collaborating, and because of what we learned through the lifetimes where we've lopped people's heads off, or we've been the victim of lopping people's heads off, we've learned in our bodies there's an ick that happens when you know you don't want to do something, and we're learning that we have to start honoring those feelings. We cannot keep ignoring them because there's a reason they rise in us. We've had these experiences before. We have many times, many different ways of living in the reality, and we're getting to a point now where collectively we can access that information and we don't even really know where it's coming from, because some people don't have language around what universal life force energy is. They might use a different word and it might have some different connotations around it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's interesting, even this conversation, because of what you do.
Yeah.
So to introduce Janika,
Hi.
Psychic Medium.
Yeah.
What else do you put yourself under?
I know that's a really funny topic of conversation too, because I feel like even creating language around I am that I am, like all of the things that I am, and it unfolds and I learn more. So when I first started out helping people, actively seeking to help people, I'd been a corporate storyteller for a decade and worked in marketing and PR, and I fell into, okay, well, I'm a storyteller guide. I'll help people tell their stories. And so that was really comfortable for me. And then started working one-on-one with clients and realizing that I'm accessing things about you to help you really hone in on who you are to this discussion of like, well, who am I? If you take away the labels of what you do for work, or your role as a parent, or your role as a son or a daughter, like who are you at your core? And I would have this insight to assist them. And then I realized through my own journey that, oh, okay, yes, I have all these suppressed memories of my childhood of experiencing and interacting with spirit and interacting with, source, source, God, universe. And yeah, I ended up transitioning into, okay, intuitive. And even getting that word and being comfortable and like, I'm intuitive, I'm a channel, was like very scary to actively out loud say, this is what I'm doing. And then, yeah, eventually like intuitive, then it turned into psychic. And then it was like, oh, and I'm talking to dead people every session I have. And for so long I pushed up against this, the role, the label of psychic medium. And I had a really dear friend of mine who's, she owned one of the local crystal shops, and she put me in to do readings there. And she put up a sign that said, Psychic Medium Janika Galloway here. And I was like, no, put that down. I don't want people coming and really expecting, at their lowest vibration of grief and loss and fear, and paying money to come and see me. And I can't do that. And she's like, yes, you can. I said, no, I can't. And she just had this smile on her face. I'll never forget it. She's like, okay, I'll take it down. And she just held my gaze for just that little, okay, I'll take it down. I said, yes, please take it down. Panicked. And then years went on, and like every session, I'm connecting in with people's loved ones. I'm experiencing these things and still not out loud saying it to people when they'd ask, so you're coming in for psychic. So, you contacted my mum, so you're a medium. Oh, no. It's like, okay. And then we'd have, different people. I had like someone helping me with social media, and she put up medium skills, and I was like, take that down. So it was a long journey and then finally it was like, actually, in all honesty, so that individual, that my friend who owns the shop, Claire, she passed away, and she passed away young. She was really young. It was unfortunate. It was cancer. And she came to me when she passed, and it was so clear, the message that she had for me, and it was quick and clear, and she showed me, and we had a contract together. We had a soul contract together. She was supposed to push me to.
Of course she did.
And so when she's showing me these visuals, and she's come to me, she's showing me our soul contract, and she's crossing it out, being like, I've done my job, now you do your part, like it's time. And I like come out of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, first of all, my friend has passed. I know it in my bones. And she's telling me to get my act together and to claim who I am. And the next day we get a text from, her family and her beloved saying, she's lost her battle and she's transitioned. And I'm like, I know. And now I have work to do. And so that's the next day I was like, right, hey everyone, this is who I am. And then once I opened up that, it was like
floodgates.
Yes, and the floodgates. And it was really like and still work to do in myself every now and again. It's like it comes up where there's some past life or simultaneous life or whatever, where there's been issues with me claiming who I am and sharing that, and I've been persecuted, or I've been hunted, or I've not stepped into the teacher role because I was afraid of judgment. And it's just working past it every time. I'm like meeting it and going through it. And I have assistants on the other side to help me. And she's one of them. So
amazing.
Yeah. So yes, psychic medium. Very proudly. That's one of my roles.
There's lots of things that Janika does and facilitates with people. And what I wanted to ask, because you gave us a really nice gloss over, thank you. It's actually so lovely to talk to people that know how to do public speaking.
Yeah, I love it. I love a good speech.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of ums and ahs, and there's just flow in the conversation. And so you can tell that you have worked on nerves around speaking, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have always been that way for you though.
No, it's funny because I grew up really shy. Like, I'm an only child. I was in my own world with the fairies, literally, and the angels and the odd kid, right? And then also I grew up in Australia, Queensland in the 90s and was maybe the only ethnic kid at my school, and just was kind of just different looking, acted different, sounded different too. We'd come over from the US, so like had a weird accent. Um, and just felt really shy. So that was probably where I was most comfortable, was in silence and also just with my own energy. And then, I don't know why, but when I was about 12 years old, I was like, I'm going to be a model. I'm going to do modeling, or I'm going to do acting, modeling, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, ended up, it just like bit after bit ended up happening. And when I was 13 and 14, I was traveling doing fashion weeks. So like going over to New Zealand for Auckland Fashion Week, and then doing it here in Sydney and Melbourne, and traveling, and then going over to the States for New York and LA, and living in different places. And so you had to be able to communicate with adults. Like, I had to learn really quickly at 14 how to not only communicate with adults, but actually even back then act like you were an adult. Like, I have memories of being, underage, thrown into these situations where I wouldn't let my kids go. I mean, I'm a mum of two now. My mum and parents love me, and they didn't know, when I'm in New York being taken care of by booking agents, and really I'm kind of being taken out to nightclubs and like, doing things that I maybe shouldn't have at that time. But
Yeah.
I had to grow up really, really quick. So yeah, while other friends of mine were maybe interested in doing their sporting and schooling, like I would finish my school or take my school and be working, like I was working. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like, having to, because there's always a reason, if communication is your thing that you're going to end up being good at in your life, often it's the thing that you're really not good at when you're little.
Yeah.
And you have to have these lived experiences to show you how to work with different situations and different people, and how to make sure that you are keeping yourself safe, that you're articulating your own needs. And sometimes we have to have some stressful experiences to make sure we know what not to do.
Yeah.
So what was that like, being 14, you're overseas, you're being looked after by booking agents?
Yeah.
Like, for you internally as a human being, a child.
Yeah. Okay.
What was that like?
Yeah. Well, I was learning lessons that I have counteracted now. So one of the lessons was you're just a coat hanger, right? You don't necessarily have a voice, especially, but it's different now. So I hear. But when I was doing it, it's like, think of those times when America's Next Top Model was on the TV, and like that kind of life.
Oh, well and truly remember it. It's that, the supermodels and everyone was so focused on all of them. They governed everything that era wore.
Yeah.
And how they related, all that.
Everything.
And
ate everything.
And they weren't even in control of their own experience. They were being used as puppets.
Yeah.
So explain the coat hanger.
Yeah, the coat hanger analogy.
Yeah.
It's like you're literally just there to shut up and put the clothes on. I had really special people in my life. Like, so in every country you had a different agency group.
Yes.
And different booking agents. My Australian agents were lovely, and they did teach me some really valuable things. And also, like, when my mother could come with me to places, that was also really helpful. And like, I'm really close to my parents; they had my back.
Amazing.
But when you then so you'd leave the safety of like your mother agent, is what we call them. Whom I just adored. And then you'd get placed in a job. So then that's where the client was, a specific brand or business, and they became who kind of looked up, babysat you for the day, really, while they're working. And that's where it would get muddled. And so you would just best to be shush, like don't make a scene, just kind of be the coat hanger, do what you need to do, and then move on. And so, yeah, I did learn these things where I'm safe if I'm quiet. I'm malleable, like I can shift and
Go with
change.
the flow.
Yep, go with the flow, and also like be a chameleon, like change into whatever it is that they're desiring to then land the job. So then in adulthood, I mean, you take those lessons.
Yeah, what did you learn?
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, I learned it's safe to be quiet. Don't make a scene. Just shush and be, the thing that has no voice. And then, of course, like as I became an adult, and my life started pushing me into that's not going to work anymore, and that's not going to fly. I ended up like I would do the modeling thing, and then I'd have an epiphany and be like, I'm done with this. I need an education. I need to like figure out my next step. There was one point I lived in a dorm with like 14 other models with bunk beds, and I remember lying in the room and being like, I don't think I can. This is not sustainable for me.
Yeah.
Because I have a voice. Like I want to say.
That's that feeling rising in your
Yeah.
body that you know that your time there is over.
Yeah, it was done. Yeah.
So you're in a dorm, 14 other people, and you're having this rise. I actually have a voice, and I need to figure out how to
where it's going to take me.
Amazing.
So I came home from the US, and I went and did psychology for a year or so, 2 years, and then got the itch to travel again. So I went back, did more modeling, left the psychology stuff, which is funny because a lot of that, what I learned, I use in my skills now, like as well.
There's never, I don't believe that there's ever anything that's a waste. There's always a reason why you learn what you learn along your path, because you do eventually use all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I went back, and I came back eventually and was like, right, now it's time to focus. And I got my communications degree because I thought, well, what do I want to do? I was like, I love people. I was really good at when we'd had types of jobs where you had to engage with the general public. So we'd call not necessarily like a runway show, but maybe it was more of a commercial show where a brand would, like Zimmerman, for example, would hire you to be in their store and wear the clothes, sort of model the clothes, but then also interact with sales and like communicate about.
Talk to people.
Yeah, and I loved that, and I really enjoyed
You
that.
weren't just a coat hanger anymore. You moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
So then, I studied my comms degree and then went into corporate PR. And that was a whole other, my body just went, no, like this is not going to be something for you long term. I learned a lot. I worked with some really amazing brands and also some really amazing people. But I just remembered, like, I kept receiving, like, there's more. And I just followed the breadcrumbs, really.
Yeah.
And I ended up being in a corporate marketing role for like a decade, just various roles and agencies and things. And it led me to realize that I was really good at telling a story.
Yeah. So tell us about that. So you've done talking to fairies when you're little.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When's your earliest memory of that before we get to the other?
Okay.
What's your earliest memory of talking to the non-physical world?
Yeah, I'm like 5 or 6, and I'm in my aunt's backyard. She had like, I can see it. I'm in her backyard. She had like a little sort of garden around a big tree. And I just remember connecting in and like feeling like there was so many things around me, but fluttering.
Yes.
Lots of light. And then just having a knowing that there was, communication. But a lot of my memories were then moved into my subconscious. Like I lost touch with a lot of things because when I was about, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9, I got scared. Like I had.
Do you remember what it was that gave you the scare?
Yeah.
Would you like to share that?
Sure. Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I lived in a house that that had a presence of a male who was manifesting in physical form. So he was a spirit. He passed. I feel like he passed in the house. I just didn't have awareness of that then. But
it's funny how you backfill information based on what happens to you now.
Yes.
You then get shown the memories from when you were a child, that then you can then associate that spirit saying to you, this is the same as what happened there. do you understand now? And you're like,
yeah, yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So he's manifesting.
Yeah, and he was coming in. I think he's somewhere on that property. Anyway, he was coming into the middle of the hallway. He would fall, and then he would chase me, and so that's really frightening as a kid. And so I started communicating this to Mum and Dad. I said, "Hey, there's a man in the hallway," and they turn around and like look down the hallway, and there's no one there.
Mm-hmm. How was your parental response on that?
Yeah, it was. There's no one there. You know, just safe, trying to govern safety. There's no one there, and that, to be fair, they could not see him.
Yeah.
So they're like, "There's no one there, darling." Anyway, so this went on and it progressed. So it started being full blown. I'm seeing this guy chasing me. He's trying to tell me something, and I'm panicked and I'm frightened. And then
because you're getting told from your parents nothing's there,
real,
and then you're seeing something with your own eyes, so you've got already a contradiction going on in your own head, and you're little, so you haven't got reason and logic yet. You just know that this is, your body just goes into a stress response and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, flight for me. I was like, I'm out of here. I run bucket around the corner, and
it can be so scary for kids. For any parents that are listening to this that have little kids that are telling them this kind of information, and you might have a different method, but for me it is, just tell me as much as you can about what you are seeing and listen to them. Even if you don't believe them, it doesn't matter. Just let the child tell you all about what it is they're experiencing, because they are a lot of the time in a different frequency, brainwave frequency, than we are as adults. They're in alpha, and they can access spirit.
It's right there.
It's just like being, instead of being on triple M, you're on triple J.
Yeah.
And you can't hear triple J, but they can.
Yeah.
And so if you can just hear them and listen to them, it will help their bodies stay out of a stress response. And then if you can just ask them, well, then what do you think you need if you're seeing this? And then listen. Sometimes it's, I need a hug. Sometimes it's, I just need you to believe me.
Turn the lights on, please, at night.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of telling your kid nothing's there and telling them to turn the lights off, they're actively telling you there is something happening and they just need someone to hear them. In all of my years of doing this, kids are not trying to manipulate you as an adult. Kids are trying to simply articulate what is happening in their reality. And we're going to get further if we can just hear each other and assume that we're all living in different realities, you know, and that it's okay, and that all we have to try and do is to come to some sort of an understanding and help with the problem solving. So I know for me with the kids, I couldn't problem solve for them. I had to ask them, what did they need to do? And did they need my help? And then in that, I was able to help them to talk to these ghosts and send them to the light.
Yeah, across them. Yeah.
So I would like to know, for you, because I've had my experiences with all of this as well. I would love to hear your experience. So Mum and Dad are telling you nothing's there. What happened next?
Yeah. And then it escalates. It escalates.
Of course it does.
Yeah. So then I'm having this full blown experience, and then I'm also now interacting it with this energy in my dream state.
Yeah.
So that's when more messages were coming through. And then physically how it was manifesting, my parents were hearing me having conversations in my sleep, night terrors.
Yes.
Like really bad night terrors where I'm sitting up in the bed and screaming, and asleep. Yes. So then I'm also saying, I'm sleepwalking at this point. So it's just like, and I'm saying to my mum and dad, he needs me to answer the door, and they're not understanding.
No, because they don't have any context, because they, unfortunately, because of the training, it's not their fault. they weren't taught to listen to kids.
Yeah.
But we're the generation that started to make adults question their reality a little bit.
Yeah, with what we're seeing. And then we buy a dog. Nala, she was awesome. She was a Ridgeback. We rescued her, so she's quite big when we got her in the home. And she comes in the house and she stands at the top of the stairs and stares down the hallway and stares and just wolf growls. Like, I've never seen, she didn't do it ever again, in her whole life. But the ones where you can see the back teeth and she's snarling. And that's when my mum goes, what's wrong with the dog and why is she? And I'm saying, the man. And Mum's like, hang on.
Your mum's probably covered in goosebumps at that point, but she would never admit it.
Yeah. And so it's continuing escalating. The dog calms down, but it's still weary. And what ends up happening is that I know this now, because it's funny you say that as we grow, then it's almost like our team and spirit give us the answers that make sense then.
Yeah. We have to have our own lived experience ourselves to believe that this stuff is even real.
Yeah.
Like if someone just tells you something, it's a very different thing to when you have lived it. So I can have conversations with people that will, like, flat out, they've never had the experience. So for them, ghosts aren't real.
Yeah.
And I can honor that, because that's fine. That's not your experience. But for us who have had the experience, I'm really sorry, but it's once you've had a real experience with it, it is something that you cannot in your whole body know that that's fine. You haven't had it, but I have. I know it was real, and I know what the flow-on effect of following that thread has been.
Yeah, exactly. There's no going back.
So Nala's snarling in the hallway,
and I got really scared. Like it was too much for my little body and heart. And I said enough, like to, without even knowing it.
What you were saying,
the angels, like, no more.
Yes.
Off. And it's like, ooh.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that's done for me. At that point, that was the end of my
intuitive connection.
And anyway, my mum ends up seeing the man. So
good.
It turns out Mum was in the middle of the night. She gets up and she goes to the loo. She's half asleep as you are, sits on the toilet, does her business. And then all of a sudden he forms and my mum sees him and she loses it. She's like, so we moved literally like a week or two later, like house was on the market. We were gone. We moved out of that house. And the weird stuff kind of stopped happening for me. I stopped having the regressions. Also, I should add, in the physical world, so I'm seeing this other dimension of him at the time, but in our physical world, we're having weird things happen. So electronics were messing up. The floorboards, it was an old Queenslander house, which where I live, there's this type of house that's got a lot of wooden floors, and we were having maggots coming up through the floorboards in the hallway. Really? Yeah. And we would get it like professionally, because you think, okay, it's we live in a hot climate,
but
maybe we're
weird that it's in that same spot.
Yeah. So my parents' rational thinking, they said, maybe we're dropping food in the hallway and then in the cracks of the wood, the flies, because it's cool there, they lay eggs, like try and logic.
Because of course they're always walking down the hallway with food.
And and then we get
it's so interesting what the thought field will offer people, and then they just go, yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Instead of just maintaining curiosity and just thinking, well, that's interesting. Yeah. To try and allow the brain to just be a little bit more open to receiving more information that might be there, but you're not seeing it because you're just believing the first thing that gets dropped into the middle of you. Because it's logical. Yeah. And it's like, I know for me, I've had too many times where logic is just way out the window.
Yeah, and it's the first one that's just like, here you go.
Yeah.
So, and we get it professionally sprayed, and then they come right back. So, and in that exact spot that he was coming through, and it was strange. So, yeah, that was kind of.
So you moved house. You turned everything off. And so for those that don't know what that means, that is where, because intention drives the reality. So if you make a statement, enough, I'm done, I disconnect from this, then because you're the one choosing the reality, you've just made a statement that the universe will then respond to. and make so.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So growing up in high school, university, like, I mean, the people that would know me from then would be like, Janika's a psychic medium? What? Like, that was not. And yeah, and it wasn't until it started. So they ended up pushing it on for me in my early 20s because
what happened?
I at this point in my life, like my early 20s, was so much fun. You know, university lifestyle, partying, like, what handbag have you got? That kind of stuff.
Absolutely, like, especially being a model.
Oh yeah,
like you're in that world
stuff, and and which is fine. But I mean, you couldn't pair that with me now. But back then, that was kind of my reality, and I met a boy. I met a boy, and intuitively, like, it was so interesting because I like, without going into all the details, like when I saw him, I knew that's my husband, that's my person. But he was a bartender, and we kind of our worlds collided. He was Canadian, I was Australian, and eventually I was trying to make up the decision whether or not I was going to follow him back to Canada or stay.
Yeah, wow.
And Spirit turned it on for this. They were like, I was receiving signs. All of a sudden, it was like angel numbers, signs, you're going to Canada, dreaming of Canada. And I said, okay, universe, if you're a real thing, like, I need to know that I should try this and go there. And they put a Canadian club out the front of my house.
Stop.
Yeah, so I lived in Bondi, so it's party town,
of course.
But
all of the alcohol bottles or cans.
Yeah.
Is it a bottle or can?
It was one of the cans.
The cans that could be out the front while you're receiving all these messages.
Yeah,
fascinating.
It was like Canada Club, and I was like, okay, but I need another sign because you need a sign.
Yeah.
And then I also saw. I'm driving along the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and I hear, which hadn't been turned on for me for a long time, but so the claircognizance and the clear audience
just came in,
and it was like, look up and to the left, and it was
stop that clear.
Yeah, and I went, oh, and I look, and there's a big building that's got Canada written on it with the maple leaf, like it must be their like department of whatever they're called when you're in a different country. So I'm like,
the embassy,
that's the one. Yeah, I'm like, oh
wow. So you're getting it in full stereo.
Yeah, full body goosebumps, and I'm like, I think I'm going to do that. And so there was lots of other little signs, but I ended up moving, and that was like the reset button for me. Moving to Canada, and the family that I'm, integrated me, because we were just dating. I mean, I knew he was my husband.
He didn't.
Well, it's funny. We both had. It was odd. Our connection was otherworldly.
Yes.
But and then when I was there, the nature, because they're all, the family, a lot of them are farmers. There's land. There's it was just so healing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Being in Canada was like ground zero. I could reset everything, all of the labels from who I had been. I was in an opportunity where no one knew me, and so I could really discover, like, who am I? Do I actually like that stuff, or what do I like? And try and do things to see who am I while I'm integrating. And it was a really good reconnection. And then once I had my children, that's when it was a final turn on. And I was still kind of I didn't connect the psychic stuff, the intuitive stuff. I was still in corporate marketing, but strange things were happening to me, and I wasn't telling anyone. I just was so worried that people would think I was nuts, and I was actually even making fun of it still. There was a couple of people in our world that were a little bit more religious or had connection to God, and I would make fun of them. I was like, "Well, how can you believe in something you can't see?" And
how interesting.
And I would be like, "That's strange." And I used to say, "Oh, maybe I'll buy a tarot deck and I'll become a psychic medium and I'll make my name Lavender." Or so I was making fun of it. I was like, and then I'll give card readings.
So really your soul is talking through you.
Oh, so funny. Yeah.
And that other part of you that hadn't really cottoned on just yet, was just having a laugh.
Just having a laugh.
But your soul's sitting there going, one day she'll hear this.
Yeah, not poke fun at it.
And realise that we're talking to her.
Yeah. And so the birth of my child, first one, everything slows down, obviously. You parent.
100%. Because you go from being very in whatever that phase was into this, you actually do get reborn yourself into a completely different version of you.
Yeah.
And you aren't the same as what you were before you have a child.
Definitely not.
And so what happened? Because it's funny that you should say that.
Yeah, I slowed down, and then something that I've connected now into this is there was a window for creativity that wasn't there previously. So all of a sudden, I had this knowing feeling I need to learn photography, and it had not really been on my radar. I mean, I'd been in marketing, but I had designers that worked for me or that I kind of headed. And all of a sudden I was like, no, I'm going to learn how to use DSLRs. I'm going to know what the ISO means. I'm going to learn all of this. And I ended up becoming a wedding photographer for a short stint. And it was so funny because I was like, this is what I'm doing now, wedding photography. And I got featured in magazines, and I literally hadn't even shot a wedding yet. And I my stuff from where I was doing free sort of shoots ended up getting featured. And what I've learned is that creativity was the vessel for everything else to kind of start opening. I had not been creative like that. I hadn't accessed that part of myself in a really long time.
Sacral.
Yeah.
It's like reigniting that chakra that probably sat quiet for a long time.
Yeah. So the creativity sparked in me, and then I had my son, and I had a near-death experience birthing him.
Oh, wow.
And then that's when it went.
Do you feel like sharing that?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was it was a lot. I knew that something was going to happen in that birth. And I had family members kind of coming through and giving me information around this is going to be life-changing. I was receiving numbers. I was getting woken up in the middle of the night.
So when you say you were receiving family members, were they physical or non-physical?
They were non-physical.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just for those that weren't cottoning on.
I was receiving messages from my grandmother, and the signs just really started ramping up for me.
Okay.
And I knew, I was like, something's going to happen. And I had a fear of giving birth for a long time. First birth of my daughter was fine.
Yep.
I had this fear, which comes from other lives.
Of course, yes.
But I knew that this one was also going to be challenging with my son, and it was. So I hemorrhaged, and I lost quite a few liters of blood, and you can only really lose 1 or 2.
Yes,
right. And it was really, it was dicey, and I ended up becoming unconscious completely, and then they rushed in to really save my life. Baby was fine, my son was fine.
Yeah.
And in the moment with the knowing I have now, through that process, I received a download that was instant. So as I've come back online, I'm
rebooted.
Knowing. Yeah.
What was your knowing?
Yeah, it was all centered around how important the story that we're living is, and how when you are incarnated here, we're all here to do certain stories, certain soul contracts, certain assignments.
Yes.
And that when you live in a life where you turn it off, you don't want to access it, you shut your ears, shut your eyes, go along with everything and don't question what's here,
yes,
then you kind of screw it up and you get another chance. But you can also live fully embodied with that knowing and that heart trust that this is the right assignment, this is what we're learning, and you do it for yourself, and you do it for the future generations, and you do it for the past generations and the past versions of you, future versions of you, simultaneous versions of you. And they gave it to me in these sort of 5 steps of accessing that.
Yeah.
And they used my language, which was great.
Stories.
Yeah, stories. So they gave it to
you're a
me
storyteller.
as the stories. Yeah. And
So what are the 5 steps?
yeah,
See you next week for Janika's 5 steps to storytelling power. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. If you enjoy this podcast, remember to like and subscribe and share it with someone that you think would benefit from this. Follow us on Spotify and all the podcasting apps that you may listen to your favorite podcasts through. The more we share these podcasts, the further the messages of the stories of awakening are spread. It's happening all over the world now. People are awakening, and it's an exciting time to be alive. The content found within these podcasts are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Nothing on this website is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any physical or medical conditions. If you have any physical or medical conditions, you should seek the advice of your medical professional immediately. These podcasts have a meditative effect, so please never drive a vehicle while listening to Guided Meditation Podcast.